Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader. It's Sunday. It's time to go over recent prices for CGC graded comic books. And at the request of my Patreon supporter, Tony, we're going to look at Silver Age comics. I do not know a lot about Silver Age comics because I only have a few of them in my collection. But I thought we would take a look at some of the big issues that most of us know in kind of mid-grades, because that's usually what sells on eBay. The really high-grade examples from the Silver Age usually are in Heritage or Hakes or Golden auctions, and they go for big prices. That's not to say there weren't some gems in this batch that I'm going to show you. There was a CGC 5.5 Journey into Mystery number 83, obviously the first appearance of Thor. That's a big book, and there were a couple others like that sold. But in general, I've got some really nice, amazing Spider-Man, Silver Age keys, a few Batman, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, obviously with that movie on the way out soon. So we'll take a closer look, and just thanks to those of you that watch, be sure to leave me a like if you enjoy my comic book content. Let's start off with Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man. We're going to start off with ASM number 3. In a 2.0, so not the highest grade, but this is the first appearance of Dr. Octopus and the fourth appearance of Spider-Man overall after Amazing Fantasy 15 and then ASM 1 and 2. So we got ASM number 3. This is one in my own collection. I think I've got a 6.0. Don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But this is a 2.0 cream to off-white pages. That one sold in an auction for $13.50, and I did pack out a couple of them to look at the Go Collect sales data as well. This wasn't one of them, but just for a couple of just for giggles, I wanted to take a look at what Go Collect has to say on the fair market value for a few of these. Here is ASM number 5. This is the first appearance of Doctor Doom outside of the Fantastic Four comics. It's a pretty classic book, and obviously Doctor Doom is coming to movies. He is going to be portrayed by Robert Downey Jr. Will be interesting to see how they do that, given that he was Iron Man, but I'm sure it's going to be a multiverse version of Doctor Doom. And this is his first appearance outside of Fantastic Four comics. Really classic book. I'm not sure I would have used that label. I think that's a J. Scott Campbell label, but it doesn't really match with the Silver Age, in my opinion. $18.25 is what this one sold for. This was off-white to white in a CGC 5.0. We had ASM number 6. This is the origin and first appearance of Lizard. Another book I'd love to have in my collection eventually, but I don't have it yet. It's a pretty pricey book. This is about the grade I'd like to get it in, which is a 6.5, freshly graded, off-white to white pages. That's a pretty much a perfect copy in terms of centering and colors, and really matches perfectly with the types of books I like to get in the Silver Age. This one sold from David over at Collector's Comics. $18.59 was the sales price on that one. That's a great cover. I really love that book. And this is the first appearance of Electro and his origin, ASM number 9, another villain from the early Spider-Man books. This was a 3.5 off-white to white pages, and that one sold in an auction for $820, so $820. That was a pretty nice looking book. It looks a lot better than a 3.5. Pretty decent colors on it. Not too much damage to the cover. So I thought that was a pretty decent deal as well. All right, here's another one in my book, and we're going to look at the Go Collect sales data for ASM number 14, which is the first appearance of the Green Goblin. I think mine is a 6.5, maybe a 7.5. I think I got a 7.5 for this book. Don't quote me on these numbers. I haven't looked at my ASM collection in a while, but this is a great cover, and I love this book. So I've got 3 different sales for this book, and then we'll look at the Go Collect sales data. First was a 3.5 with off-white to white pages. Pretty nice presenting copy for a 3.5. That one sold for $12.25. And you can see that this one presents really nicely, because a 3.5 sold for $12.25, and then a 6.5 in off-white to white pages sold for $17.50. So you're going from a 3.5 for $12.25. You're paying, let's call that $425 more, but you're upping it all the way up to a 6.5. So pretty interesting to see how once you get to a certain grade on some of these Silver Age big books, that it almost doesn't matter the grade. People are going to pay up like it would be raw prices. So that's a 6.5. That one sold for $17.50. This is a 7.0, and that one was off-white to white pages. Also pretty freshly graded, really nice presenting copy here, and that one sold for $4,000. So that's a pretty big price difference once you go from a 6.5, $17.50 to just to a 7.0. So only a half grade higher, but you're paying over 2 times as much on the price relative to what that one sold for. So let's take a look at the Go Collect sales data. So first of all, we had the 3.5 that was sold for $12.25. The 3.5 on Go Collect's website says $12.25, the fair market value of $1,300. And then we jumped up to a 6.5. The fair market value is listed at $3,400 with the 30-day moving average of $2,450. And then this one sold for $17.50. So that just shows you what an incredible deal this one was. This one basically went for about $650 below the 30-day moving average on Go Collect. And then the 7.0, it sold right at the 30-day moving average of $4,000. The fair market value is $3,900. So of the three, this 6.5 off-white to white pages went well below fair market value at $17.50. So you got to keep your eye out there if you're into these big Silver Age books that are expensive, because sometimes they do fall through the cracks on eBay in auctions or in buy it nows. I mean, I would just argue that this one was underpriced. It was a buy it now. I'm sorry, I thought this one was an auction. This one was a buy it now at $17.50 off-white to white. And the Go Collect sales data has the 30-day moving average at $2,450. So clearly the seller just wanted to dump it. That's a significant discount relative to the 30-day moving average. So I just wanted to point that out. Next up, we got ASM number 16. This is another one I would like to pick up. I'd probably like to get it in a higher grade, though. I'd like to get it in about a 9.0. This one was a 6.5 off-white to white pages. This is the first Daredevil appearance the first Daredevil crossover into SpiderMan comics. So pretty cool book. You know, it's the first time, I guess the first time they meet, Spider-Man and Daredevil meet, kind of a crossover book. And it's got his old yellow costume. Again, 6.5 off-white to white. That sold for about $711. $711 on 2 bids on that one. And then the last ASM book I wanted to point out is ASM number 41. This is the first appearance of Rhino. I think mine's a 7.5. This is a 5.5 off-white to white. That sold for $425. I think for my 7.5, I don't remember what I paid. I want to say about $700, somewhere in that ballpark. It's probably dropped since I bought it, but you know, another great book if you're into, you know, just collecting the first appearance villains on these Silver Age books in mid grades. Very affordable key in that mid-range, 5.5 to 7.5, in that range. Batman Silver Age books. This is probably the one that I'd want the most. This is Batman number 171, the first Silver Age appearance of the Riddler in a 6.5 off-white to white pages. Reese's Rare Comics had this one. He's a pretty well-known dealer for high-end comic books. If you go directly to his website, you'll get better deals. He prices them cheaper on his own website, I think it's Reese'sRareComics.com. Don't quote me on that, but you can just Google it and it'll pop up. But I bought from that seller before just directly from him on his website, and it's usually, they cut out the eBay fees. So that one sold for $1,000 or best offer. It sold for $1,000. And then Batman number 181 is another big one. That is the first appearance of Poison Ivy from 1966. This was only in a 3.0, and it's also a cover that's not particularly great, but that one sold for $450. But it just shows you that even some of these big Silver Age books in lower grades, you can get very affordable first appearance of Poison Ivy. I mean, that's a great book. In high grade, these go into the 5 figures easily. So, you know, if you're on a budget and you want to get some of these Silver Age keys, just look for these listings in the lower grades on eBay, because that's where they're mostly going to be, just because of the price point. It doesn't make sense to list this on Heritage or, you know, some of those big auction houses because of the, you know, the price point. You might see them on Hakes occasionally. Hakes has very affordable copies sometimes. You usually don't see these types of grades, though, on Heritage or Golden and things like that. Daredevil, I think this is a very underrated Daredevil book, Daredevil number 2. This is the second appearance of Electro, which is really from the SpiderMan series, right? ASM number 9. But I always love this cover. It kind of shows Electro doing some damage against Daredevil. Daredevil's still in his yellow costume there. But this is one that's very affordable in mid-grade. This was a 7.0 off-white to white pages in the old CGC case, and that one sold for $9.50 or best offer. So again, you know, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for me, that's a really nice way to get an early appearance of Electro, and you also get an early appearance of Daredevil. I mean, that's a great looking book for the price, in my opinion. Some Fantastic Four books. Obviously, they have the Fantastic Four trailers out. I mean, it does look really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. They made the Silver Surfer a female. You know, they can't get out of their own way sometimes. Just stick to the comics, you know, the original books. There was a female version of Silver Surfer in some of the later Fantastic Four books. But to me, I wish they'd just kind of stick to the original source material. So I imagine we'll be seeing Galactus since we are seeing the Silver Surfer. But this is Fantastic Four number 48. This is the first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. So to me, you know, those two are coming for sure. I mean, Silver Surfer, without a doubt, is. But I would think Galactus is also, of course, going to make an appearance since those two are kind of intertwined. But their first appearance is Fantastic Four number 48. And again, another book that's relatively affordable in the lower grades, given how much those have come down in price. 5.0 cream to off-white, that sold for $1,000. And then the follow-up book, Fantastic Four number 49, is the second appearance of the Silver Surfer and the first full appearance of Galactus. Number 48 is the first cameo of Galactus, since he only appears on the last page in Fantastic Four number 48. And again, a very affordable book relative to some of the higher grades for this book. And I actually prefer this cover of the two. 6.0 off-white pages. That one sold in an auction for $8.21. I think that's a pretty decent deal there. To me, I'd try to aim for off-white to white pages in that 6.0, 7.0, 8.0 range. And I think you're doing pretty well with one of those books, given how much they've come down in price over the last year or so. Fantastic Four number 52 is the first appearance of Black Panther. That's another big key and also very affordable right now. Black Panther's really taken a nosedive in terms of prices. This 6.0 with off-white to white pages, that's a very presentable copy, very nice mid-grade book, and it was $700. I mean, that's an unbeatable price in my opinion. Anywhere in that price point, 6.0, 7.0 range in terms of grade, I think you're doing pretty well there. Next up, we got Silver Surfer number 4. This is kind of just a classic cover, and, you know, it's not like a big first appearance or anything, but it's kind of a classic battle cover between Thor and Silver Surfer, and very well known. And in high grade, it is very expensive. It's a dark cover. This one was a 9.2 off-white to white pages. This is from 1969, and this one sold for $3,900. So my buddy has a really high grade copy of this book, and he paid a boatload for it, but you know, he's got an even higher grade than this one. This one did have writing on it as well, which I try to avoid with any of my books that I pick up. But, you know, CGC tends to grade accordingly when you have handwriting on the books. But that one was a 9.2 off-white to white pages, $3,900. A couple of incredible books that I like. They're kind of off the beaten path. I've always liked this one, Incredible Hulk number 104. And this just shows the Hulk battling the Rhino. It's not the first appearance or anything like that, but it's just a great looking cover showing them fighting and Rhino doing some damage to the Hulk. 9.2 off-white pages, that sold for $350. Great price there, and, you know, certainly very affordable in those mid grades. Another big one that's pretty classic is Incredible Hulk Annual number 1 from 1968. It's an appearance by the Inhumans, and this was only a 6.0, but sold for $300. I mean, you can't beat that price. That's a really great looking book for a 6.0 at $300. Next up, here's the big one, and we're going to take a look at the Go Collect sales data because I just don't follow this book closely, just given how expensive it is. But this is Journey into Mystery number 83 from 1962. Obviously, the origin and first appearance of Thor, a major key from the Silver Age. This was a 5.5 off-white to white pages and sold from Blizzard Comics, a really great seller on eBay that I bought from in the past, and it sold for $10,000. 10,000 bones, $10,000. And then I did pull up the 5.5 sales data on Go Collect. You got to be a paying member for this, but this is the top 23.4% of all graded copies of the 1,955 copies that have been graded by CGC. This is in the top 23%, and you can see what the price has done. During the COVID bubble, this was going for $27,000, and now it has dropped all the way to $10,000. How crazy is that? And then here's a look at the last few sales. So the last few sales dating back to December of last year, 10,200. And then an auction, one sold for 9,600. Another one sold in a fixed price auction for 10,500. And then this one sold for 10,000 on April 28th. So pretty incredible price drop. And, you know, if you got the big dollars, if you got deep pockets, now's not a bad time, in my opinion, to pick this up. I mean, you're getting back to prices from 2018, 2019 prices. And, you know, so that's, let's call that 6 years ago. And that's where prices have come back to for some of these big books. This book was selling at $10,184 6 years ago, and now it's back to $10,000. So that's just an incredible price drop for such a major key. Journey into Mystery number 83. We're going to finish things off with a couple of big X-Men keys. Obviously, this is a signature series, X-Men number 1, the first appearance of the X-Men, signed by Stan Lee. How incredible is that book? 5.0 off-white pages. That sold for $14,000. Absolutely massive number. And this one looked like it has some, you know, Newton rings on the book too. So it was not perfect, and it still sold for $14,000. Next up was X-Men number 2. This is obviously the second appearance of the X-Men. Pretty great cover there with Professor X. That was a 6.5 off-white to white pages. That one sold in an auction for $1,075, $1,075. And then X-Men number 4 is probably one of my favorite covers from the Silver Age X-Men books. This is the first appearance of Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Toad, and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and it's also the second appearance of Magneto. Just a great, great looking cover. Absolutely love this Jack Kirby art. 4.5 off-white to white pages. That one sold for $1,040. That is a book I would love to have, even in that grade. I think that is just a beautiful, beautiful book. So anyway, I hope you found this look at the Silver Age comics graded by CGC that have sold recently on eBay helpful. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.